Hey, everybody, welcome in Guerilla Sports Off Ice, second intermission edition. Meghan Angley, Jesse Montano, 1-0 Avs jump out and grab the lead over the New York Rangers. Off the stick of Parker Kelly. Exactly what we said, right?
Just like we drew it up.
Big-time depth game is definitely what we said. No need to go back and watch and verify any of that. We talked about how important the depth was going to be.
Trajectory multi-point night.
Right.
Parker Kelly, hat trick.
What is so funny, though, Megan, in all seriousness, you and I called out. We said, hey, Marty Netchus, want to see him continue to produce. And, hey, yeah, you want to see the top guys get going and be a difference maker here. But we said, if you're going to get production from Jack Drury or Parker Kelly, you're not going to turn away that kind of production. Well, it's Marty Netchus to Sam Malinsky and a Parker Kelly tip.
I also want to shout out my back-end call-out of Makar and Malinsky. Malinsky with a point in the Islanders game, now points in back-to-back games.
Ties career high.
Yeah, in
points.
A very short amount of time.
Yep.
Just wanted to say, I did see the Malinsky production or Makar coming. It's just like we drew it up.
Again, career high points in the season for Sam Malinsky. Another goal for Parker Kelly. And then, hey, Marty Netchus does get in on it. Megan, your thoughts on that second period? Well, I don't think it was maybe the second period that we had talked about where it's like, hey, come out, take control of the game. It wasn't quite that. I liked what we saw from the Avs. I did think it was dialed up a level from the first. And, hey, you're heading into the third period with a lead.
Yeah, this one, in all situations, Avs come away with the possession lead because the Rangers got that power play opportunity in the first. They had the slight advantage, but 5v5, Avs are right where you want to see them in terms of controlling this game. They finally climb ahead in that shots battle. That's also more akin to the way that the Avs like to play hockey. I do think too, I didn't necessarily think the depth would be the offensive contributions, but I did believe the depth had the edge here line by line. And so I think that's evidenced in this Parker Kelly goal where I don't think the Rangers take the unit on the ice seriously enough. They're going off for a partial change and the Avs see the opportunity to attack and they take it. And so, it starts with a Malinsky breakout. I like Marty's role in this play because his speed is needed to gain the zone, skate the puck around, protect it along the wall just enough to get it back to Malinsky at the point. And what I love about this, where you can tell that New York underestimated Parker Kelly, is he's not viewed as the threat on this play in addition to Bardakov there, right? And so Parker Kelly's able to just kind of waltz over to the net front, drop to a knee, get his stick in perfect placement without contest. And it's probably a mistake that the Rangers won't make twice necessarily. It maybe isn't going to be so easy for them. But I think the combination of the skill, the speed of Netchus with underestimating some of the Avs' depth cost New York in that period to an extent, because I think the top guys still look good. I still really like that second line for a goal in this one. Landeskog had a really great attempt kind of coming from behind the net in close. So I still think that the top six has the ability to impact this game because it is only 1-0, right?
You're nowhere near out of the woods.
An important 20 minutes of hockey to be played here to close this out. This is not a safe lead. It does need to be protected. They need a little bit more goal support. But that looked more like Avalanche hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. Dang, you said something there that made me think of something, and I can't remember, and I'll circle back
Marty
to it
Netchus.
once it hits me.
Okay.
Next time you're mid-sentence and it comes back to me, I'll just cut you off.
That's perfect.
Yeah. You mentioned Sam Malinsky and Cale Makar. It already came back to me. I was just, you were talking about Parker Kelly getting to the front of the net relatively uncontested here. I actually thought the Rangers in-zone D coverage was leaky as hell in that period. There were 3 or 4 different times where the Avs, either with one pass or the puck carrier, just had ice to take. And I thought,
I'd say through traffic, but there wasn't much traffic.
The Avs were finding, large seams through the middle of the ice. Like I said, whether it be through a pass or guys just moving the puck with their feet. That is definitely something that we saw glimpses of it in the first period from the Rangers. A couple of those looks that you referenced of Cale Makar kind of just coming right down Broadway, no pun intended. And again, uncontested. I thought it was even worse in the second. And that's something that if you're the Avs, some of that quick puck work that we saw in the first period has really seemed to stretch the D zone for the Rangers, meaning that they're not compact, they're not in lanes, they're not getting sticks and skates on pucks. The Avs continue to do that. I think you're really going to like what you can put together here in the third. Cale Makar, Sam Malinsky, you called them both out in the last intermission. Sam Malinsky obviously picks up the assist. Cale Makar, a couple really nice plays there, including a beautiful pass through the middle of the ice to find Nathan McKinnon.
Yes.
You called them out, and just want to keep talking about, Sam Malinsky, who's getting the intermission interview right now. If you can start to have obviously a weapon like Cale Makar who does what he does, but then if you've got a guy like Sam Malinsky, I've long talked about the fact that Cale Makar is such a weapon, not only for what he does in his own end and how much he controls the zone, but he's got that ability to, I lost my train of thought. He's got that ability to be the difference maker on the offensive end as well, where
yeah,
if you're matching, fourth line for fourth line, but you roll Cale Makar, that's a dynamic that's really hard for other teams to account for. And where I'm going with this, Megan, is if you are now starting to have a version of that in Sam Malinsky that's kind of applicable, but for, the bottom part of your lineup where he's got that same kind of dynamic edge to his game, again, and we don't need to get into it here in an intermission conversation, but like you are starting to have that conversation of, okay, is this future second pairing Sam Malinsky that we can have play in this role that just changes things in a way that is similar or likened to what Cale Makar does?
Oh, hell, there's two of them.
Oh, hell, there's two of them.
Actually, it's not a stretch to suggest he would have a future second pair role because they've had him spot shift in that in the past, and there hasn't been the same need for it this season, but we have seen his minutes increase, the opportunities increase, and more reps on the PK as that trust continues to grow, and he's doing all of the right things to ensure that. It's a very realistic possibility. I think they revisit that as soon as the opportunity lines up more closely, right? Like, what does the future look like for Brent Burns past this season? That's Sam Malinsky music for the future of his time with this organization. Obviously, he'll be a free agent this summer. So if they want to get to working on an extension, lock him up, it would be a pretty good piece of business. But all that to say, in talking about Parker Kelly being kind of underestimated, I think that some of the reason for this partial change is because they're taking inventory of who's on the ice. They're like Girard, Malinsky, Bardakov. You've got Netchus out there. It's obviously a bit dangerous in Parker Kelly. I don't think they took Malinsky seriously enough as a threat there either. I loved the Sharks head coach post-game where he was talking about how it was Malinsky relentless on the wall, like he was playing, I don't know, Game 7 in a Stanley Cup final, and how it's bigger than just Malinsky, but it is the attitude around the team that every player can be a threat at any given moment. I love when the depth sneaks up on guys like this. And I think, too, there's a world where we're maybe not talking about Malinsky so much as a depth player. He probably, in the future, will have more of a second pair role. And it's just more natural to have that conversation. But until then, I think the rest of the league is sleeping on Sam Malinsky.
No, I agree with you. All right, Megan, we have to talk about it.
The power play.
We have to talk about it. And because you made the comment as the power play is winding down, you said, oh, I actually forgot
that was a power play.
Look, I even made the comment to you before that power play, granted, in the second period, where I said, Megan, I don't get overly concerned about power plays because they are so finicky, and the Avs will. I'm telling people this now on Saturday, December 6th, the Avs will have a stretch at some point this season where their power play is white hot, where they score, 11 or 12 goals on 20 attempts. Like they will have that at some point this season. And, you get into a power play series, because I see this comment here says, Mikko perhaps was the entire reason the PP worked here, eh? As we see Dallas tops in the league and the Avs PP continues to look lifeless and totally reliant on an all-skill system. Again, I think that's a little bit controversial. Yeah, I would bet my car on it. I would bet my car on the fact the Avs will have a stretch throughout the season where they will go on a heater on the power play. It happens every year. I've been watching Avalanche hockey since 1995, Megan. It happens every year. Happens every year. And you can also, as we see every year, but a couple years ago for the Edmonton Oilers, they had a good power play throughout the season, and then it went nuclear in the playoffs, and they were shooting at like a 65% clip. You get into the playoffs, and suddenly things starts working. It's fine. That all being said,
even the Dallas power play was not sustainable past the first round.
No.
It was really effective against the Avs, and
then for games 1 and 2 against Winnipeg, and then they were eliminated because the one source of their offense, their power play, dried up. It's a great call out. That all being said, you can't have so many of these where you and I are sitting here going, oh man, I forgot this was even a power play.
Yeah, it shouldn't be ew.
Right.
And so, something Jared Ballmeyer has brought to my attention that I like to keep context back of mind too is the number of power plays in a stretch. So it's like, okay, they've only had one opportunity tonight. It wasn't good. If they get another, it needs to be better. And typically in game one to the next, the power play does look a little bit better, but it was 0 for 3 against the Islanders. So on the heels of that too, it's like, guys, it's not looking good. I can't keep defending you.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to see improvement one to the next. If they get another power play opportunity, it is important that it looks like an actual power play.
And that, I think, right there is the most important part for me when you're talking about right now. And it's here's comment comes into the chat. Exactly what I was about to say. I'm not saying you got to go out there and convert on every power play. I'm not saying you have to run at a 50%, rate. Your power play has to look dangerous.
And I've had power plays like that in, I don't know, the last 10 game segment where I thought, ooh, I liked that one. I liked that shift from the top unit.
Totally.
Blah, 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 even though they don't score. I can't say that for the power play now, the last 2 games at minimum. So it just needs to be better. And the other thing I'll say about Mikko Rantanen real quick is the year in which the Avs let go of their power play coach is also the year in which they trade Mikko Rantanen. The power play had stagnated at that point. And Mikko Rantanen was on that power play. And it wasn't working. Marty Netsch comes into the fold, fresh blood, adds something a little new. It actually starts doing pretty well. I'm not saying
nope. This is a perfect point.
Rantanen wasn't the problem and Netsch wasn't specifically the solution. It's just, I think this is revisionist history that
absolutely
the Avs power play had stagnated at that point to the point of crisis and frustration. It's not his fault. That's not the reason he got traded.
And what I was going to say was when Marty Netsch came in for the last, 2 months of the regular season?
Yeah.
The Avs had the best power play in the league.
It was great.
There's my point of you will go through that stretch. Almost every team does it. Almost all 32 teams will go through a 2-week to a month-long stretch where their power play just cannot be stopped. Almost every team in the league. Maybe you can eliminate the bottom 2 or 3 teams that, by the time you get to the deadline, they're so depleted. They've traded so many guys out that, maybe those teams don't go through it. But it happens all the time. And I love your call out of the Dallas Stars went through that stretch during the first round last year.
And it did help them.
Absolutely.
It helped them to beat a very difficult first round opponent in 7 games.
You can make an argument. That the Dallas Stars won that series on their power play.
Yeah. Excellent performance from Ottinger through that series. And an unsustainably good power play. And
to your call out, that power play stayed unsustainably good for 2 more games beyond that series. And then they kind of limped out of that second round and got blown out in the Western Conference Final because they couldn't generate any offense because their power play wasn't going. And this isn't a Dallas Stars show, but you can even make the argument that right now, the unbelievable run that they're on, the success they're having, keeping so close to the Avs is again because they are on a power play heater. 60%, at least the last time I checked, it was actually a little bit more than 60% of Mikko Rantanen's production this season has come on the power play. The Dallas Stars, this is what this version of this team does. They live and die by the power play. And all of that to say, Avs got to be better there. That is the team that's chasing you. You got to be better there if you want to be competitive in a playoff series with them. My whole point is I'm not losing my mind about it, but it's got to look better than
it certainly does. I think the criticism of it is very fair. It's got to be better. I don't know, because the other thing is too, you don't want them to like go nuclear, blow it up at every wrong turn, because power plays are fickle in general too, and it's important for them to build some consistency with each other, familiarity, before you give up, right? So it's a hard line to walk, I imagine, for Bednar, to decide when enough is enough. And right now it's still a little too little for it to be like, okay, blow it all up right now.
New power play coach as well.
New power play coach.
Megan, third period, puck's about to drop. Give us your thoughts. Give the people what they want.
Still a Gabe game.
Still a Gabe game.
Still a Gabe game.
I thought in Minnesota, had the Avs survived long enough to get to the third round of the shootout, or put it in position, the fourth round of the shootout, I guess. I thought that was a Gabe shootout. So I feel you. Puck's down on the third period. Avs Rangers will be back right here after the game to break it down. We'll talk to you guys then. Third period, Avs up 1-0. See if they can hold on to it.